Hey there, and a massive welcome. I am so incredibly excited to be your local guide today. Whether you're gearing up for your very first trip up north, or you're just super curious about our culture, consider this your ultimate visual guide to Norway's completely unique culinary landscape. We're going to explore everything from the deepest, coldest fjords to our absolute sweetest weekend traditions. So get ready to see Norway through exactly what we put on our plates.
All right, let's just dive right in. What do Norwegians actually eat? Now, if you haven't been to Scandinavia, you probably have a few preconceived notions, right? You might be thinking we survive completely on meatballs like our Swedish neighbors, or maybe that we just eat pickled herring and potatoes for literally every single meal. But honestly, Norwegian food culture is incredibly rich, it's wonderfully diverse, and it is constantly evolving. It's about so much more than just the basics.
To keep us perfectly on track today, here is our tasting menu, our little itinerary for the trip. We've got 5 stops. First, Norwegian food through time. Second, seafood from along coast. Third, seasonal ingredients and berries. Fourth, cheese, ice cream, and aquavit. And we'll finish up with traditional desserts and sweet habits.
Starting with Section 1, Norwegian food through time, from historic preservation to modern gastronomy. Because, to truly understand what we're eating today, we really have to look at how our harsh Nordic climate literally shaped everything.
Think about it. Before refrigeration, food in Norway was strictly about surviving these incredibly long, freezing, dark winters. We completely relied on traditional salting and drying techniques just to make sure the food would last the season. But fast forward to today, and we are seeing a total transformation. Norway now has this booming new Nordic fine dining scene. You have Michelin-starred chefs taking those exact same ancient preservation techniques and elevating them into absolute world-class luxury. It is literally a journey from pure survival to pure gastronomy.
Moving right along to Section 2, seafood from along coast, which happens to be one of Norway's biggest exports. Honestly, when you look at a map of Norway, one thing becomes instantly obvious. Our geography naturally dictates our menu.
The export of seafood is simply one of our largest industries, and it's actually almost impossible to overstate just how gigantic this sector is. Because of that freezing, pure water, and the seemingly endless coastline, Norway produces absolutely massive amounts of top-tier fish. Obviously, we eat a ton of it ourselves, but we're also supplying high-end kitchens all over the globe with this incredible Norwegian seafood.
But, as you can imagine, with the massive industry comes some pretty vital debate. Like, can Norway's wild salmon actually be saved? Preserving the wild salmon population is this huge, ongoing environmental conversation that locals care so deeply about. It's a really key part of our bond with nature. So when you're here enjoying salmon, you're actually tapping into this passionate, ongoing conversation about sustainability and the entire future of our waters.
All right, Section 3, seasonal ingredients and Norwegian berries are absolute supermarket staples. Let's take a quick virtual trip to a local grocery store, because you'll quickly discover we have an almost religious dedication to the seasons.
So here's the deal. The crucial point is this intense, laser focus on fresh, raw ingredients right when they're in season. When the Norwegian summer finally arrives, after that long, dark winter, the flavor profile just explodes. Suddenly, supermarkets are absolutely plastered with signs for local berries. We're talking Norwegian strawberries, which get insanely sweet thanks to the long, bright summer nights. Then there are the wild blueberries from the forest, and of course, the highly exclusive cloudberry, which we literally call the forest scold. We wait all year for these, and the second they're ready, we are eating them by the bucketful.
On to Section 4, cheese, ice cream, and aquavit, unique flavors and innovations. Because we aren't just traditionalists picking berries out in the woods, let's get into the genuinely creative side of the modern Norwegian palate.
Okay, we absolutely have to talk about cheese. Tourists often assume we only eat mild, everyday yellow cheese, but recently, local, small-scale dairies have completely perfected their craft. Today, Norway produces blue cheeses that haven't just won a few awards, they've literally been crowned the best in the world at international competitions. It's a full-blown cheese revolution, and you absolutely have to taste it when you get here.
Now, this is where things get really fun. This is how we take an extremely traditional ingredient and just flip it entirely on its head. Our caramel-like brown cheese is famous worldwide. It's something uniquely Norwegian. But brown cheese ice cream? I know, it sounds wild, but against all odds, it actually works. It's this incredible blend of salty, sweet, and caramel. It might sound a bit weird at first, but it is a quirky, must-try local innovation. Put it at the top of your list.
And that playful spirit of innovation definitely doesn't stop at dessert. Historically, aquavit, which is our national spirit, spiced with caraway or dill, is taken straight in these tiny little glasses, usually to help digest heavy holiday meals. Well, today, modern bartenders across the country are using it as a base in brilliant, incredibly creative new cocktails. It's just a fantastic way of bridging those heavy old traditions with really playful modern mixology.
Finally, Section 5, Traditional Desserts and Sweet Habits, the Weekend Traditions in Norway. Welcome to the dessert table. We have some incredibly cozy yet surprisingly strict rules when it comes to our sweet tooth.
If you happen to visit us over a weekend, you're going to notice a pretty funny phenomenon. Why do all these families flock to the stores to buy massive bags of pick-and-mix candy on Saturdays? Well, we call it lørdagsgodt, which means Saturday sweets. The cultural rule here is very simple. Monday through Friday, we eat healthy. But on Saturday, anything goes.
But get this, there is actually a surprisingly dark story behind why Norwegians started restricting their sweets strictly to Saturdays. Without giving the whole secret away right now, it is tied to some fascinating, honestly slightly grim cultural history from decades ago. When you visit, I highly recommend finding a local and asking them to explain the true origins of lørdagsgodt. It gives your typical weekend treats a totally unexpected depth.
So if I'm giving you some insider recommendations for your trip, I've got 2 you can't miss. First up is successkake, or success cake. It is an absolute masterpiece of classic Norwegian baking. Imagine a chewy almond base topped with a thick, completely irresistible, silky smooth yellow cream. It truly lives up to its name. And second, you have to grab a bag of smash. It's salty, crispy corn covered in milk chocolate, and it is without a doubt Norway's most dangerously addictive snack. Seriously, once you start, you literally cannot stop.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, right? We've traveled from historical dried fish all the way to world champion blue cheese. We've explored the pure joy of summer berries, the quirkiness of brown cheese ice cream, and the slightly mysterious tradition of Saturday sweets. Norwegian food is just this amazing journey of contrasts. So the really big question is, which of these incredible food traditions are you going to try first when you arrive? Thank you so much for joining me on this tour today, and vel bekomme.